What if I told you that Euphoria Season 3 Episode 5 was not really about fame? It was about how fame slowly destroys people. And honestly, by the end of this episode, every single character feels broken in some way. This episode focused a lot on Cassie, and we saw just how badly she wants success, attention, and money. Ever since appearing in Brandon's video, her social media has exploded. Her followers are growing fast, people are talking about her everywhere, and for the first time in her life, she feels important. But the scary part is how quickly she's changing because of it. Cassie is now willing to do almost anything to stay famous. Maddie is pushing her hard, managing her schedule, controlling her image, and basically turning her into a full-time content machine. But Cassie doesn't care because in her mind, all the hard work is worth it as long as the money keeps coming in and the followers keep growing. And honestly, that's what makes her story so sad. Because everybody around her is using her. Maddie wants money and success from managing her. Brandon wants clout and more views. And Nate only wants her money so he can survive. Cassie thinks people finally care about her, but really, she's becoming more like a product than a person. One moment that really stood out to me was when Cassie called Maddie her best friend. Even Maddie looked confused hearing it. After everything that happened between them, it feels like Cassie is still holding onto the past while Maddie has already moved on emotionally. Maddie feels very different this season. Before, she was emotional and reactive. Now she feels smarter, colder, and way more focused on success. When Cassie found out Maddie was actually living a much less glamorous life than she pretended, Cassie almost left her for Brandon's creator house. But Maddie stopped her by promising her an audition for LA Nights and then getting her to sign a contract. And the moment Cassie signed that paper, it honestly felt like she trapped herself. Because now Maddie has control. What's interesting is that Maddie clearly sees Cassie as business, while Cassie still sees Maddie as friendship. And I think that difference is eventually going to destroy them. The more famous Cassie becomes, the more selfish she's becoming too. We already saw her choose fame over relationships before, and now it feels like she's slowly losing everyone around her. Lexi is drifting away from her. Nate is using her. And Maddie is becoming less emotionally attached to her every episode. The show is basically asking one big question with Cassie: how far will she go to stay relevant once people start getting bored of her? And honestly, I think her story is heading somewhere very dark. But while Cassie's story was emotionally intense, Rue's story was straight up terrifying. That ending scene where Rue was buried in the dirt with only her head sticking out was one of the most stressful scenes of the season. For the first time, it truly feels like Alamo and his crew are starting to suspect her. Earlier in the season, I wasn't fully sold on the crime storyline, but now it's finally getting really good because the danger feels real. Rue is trapped between the Dia, Lori, and Alamo, and every side wants something from her. She thought she was escaping her old life, but somehow she ended up in something even worse. I also like the way the episode showed Alamo feeling embarrassed after the robbery at the club. The detail with the trousers being too small for him was actually symbolic. He hated feeling weak or small in front of the people around him. And because Rue didn't recognize the robbers straight away, people started questioning her loyalty. Bishop saying Rue gave him bad vibes was important, because it showed trust around her completely breaking apart. The power tool scene was also really tense because Rue knew that at any second she could become the next victim. That's what makes Alamo scary. He doesn't need to scream or act crazy all the time. He stays calm. And somehow that makes him even more dangerous. The final scene worked so well because the show didn't even need to show violence. Just seeing Rue helpless in the dirt while Alamo rode toward her on horseback was enough to make the moment feel terrifying. Personally, I don't think he was actually going to kill her there. I think it was a warning. A way to remind Rue that she has absolutely no control anymore. And honestly, I think this could finally push her to break mentally because the pressure around her is becoming too much. Now another character who had a really strong episode was Maddie. At first, I thought her story this season was mainly about surviving and making money. But now it's becoming clear that Maddie wants real power. When she met Alamo, I actually thought she might be in danger at first. But instead, Alamo became impressed by her mindset and her ability to turn girls into money-making creators. That conversation between them was really important because it connected their worlds together. Maddie understands business, she understands influence, and she understands how to use people to get ahead. That's why I honestly think Maddie might end up becoming one of the most successful characters this season. But success is changing her too. She's becoming colder and more distant, especially toward Cassie. And once Maddie starts focusing on other girls like Magic and Kitty, I think Cassie is going to become jealous because she won't feel special anymore. That could easily push her closer toward Brandon and even Nate again, which would probably destroy everything she's built for herself. Speaking of Nate, his downfall this season is honestly painful to watch. Earlier seasons made Nate feel powerful and dangerous, but now he's completely broken. He's broke, desperate, drinking alone during the daytime, and depending on Cassie's money just to stay alive. The episode title, "This Little Piggy," was also a dark reference to him losing body parts one by one because of his debt problems. First the toe, now the finger. It's dark, but it perfectly shows how much his life is falling apart. And despite everything, he still somehow has emotional control over Cassie, enough for her to keep sending him money over and over again. That relationship is becoming more toxic every episode. I also want to quickly talk about Jules because even though her role in this episode was smaller, I think it was still important. Jules feels completely lost right now. She gave up her passion for art and creativity just to live comfortably, but now she has no real purpose in life anymore. The scene where her landlord basically admitted she would never mean more to him than his family was honestly sad because it showed Jules realizing she's just a side relationship in somebody else's life. And I think that loneliness is slowly starting to affect her. Visually, the episode looked amazing as always. The lighting, camera work, and grainy style continue to make Euphoria one of the best looking shows on TV. Every scene feels stylish, emotional, and uncomfortable at the same time. Overall, I thought this was a really strong episode because it finally feels like everything is starting to fall apart at once. Rue is trapped, Cassie is losing herself, Maddie is becoming dangerous, Jules feels empty, and Nate has completely hit rock bottom. Everybody in this episode wants something badly. But the closer they get to it, the more miserable they become. And, honestly, that's what makes this season feel so dark. Because Euphoria is no longer asking whether these characters will ruin their lives. It's asking how much damage they'll cause before they finally realize they were never truly happy to begin with. And with only a few episodes left this season, things are about to get even crazier.